MightyMai episode 20, and let's go. So, welcome to the MightyMai episode 20 already. Hello, Mai. Happy to be back with you today. Hello, TokenSmart. So, how are you?
I'm doing great, Mighty. Sorry, I tried to eat like a whole ass sub like while that song was playing. Um, I,
And you
I got
didn't
pretty
have
close.
the time to finish it?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm like a quarter. I'm almost there, but I did it. Yeah, that meme is exactly me right now, 100%.
Absolutely, I can hear you finishing that up, but that's perfect. I mean, I can just introduce, the vibe today. We thought, like, for a while, just doing some time kind of a clubhouse vibe. So, especially around music and blockchain. So, if tonight you feel about talking about music and blockchain with us, and share some thoughts and everything, that's the moment. At any time, just mention yourself in the chat, or just open your mic and share with us what you want. And but yeah, we definitely want to have a chill show tonight, and that's the 20th MightyMai, which is pretty impressive.
Crazy,
Yeah,
crazy. Already on episode 20. That's actually pretty. That is nuts. When you said that at the intro, I was like, man, that is wild that we're already on episode 20. And
yeah.
just to think this is just the start. Wait until we're on episode 220.
Yeah, I've thought about that. Like, will this happen, or may we drop even ourselves before, or I don't know. We only time will tell.
Absolutely. And I'll just mention that if you don't feel if you don't feel like super comfortable getting on the mic, feel free to drop a question in the events chat or events questions, and it's gonna be a nice, just we just want to interact with the crowd tonight, kind of just get some community thoughts, and yeah, just conversate, have a good chat.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I realized it's been 1 year now since I'm into the crypto art, and maybe 3 years since I'm into music and blockchain in general. And I would like to shout out the music coin representative who's with us tonight in the chat. I see you, so hello. And yeah, we've talked in the background to have them as a guest at some point to talk about Musicoin's rebirth, which is happening right now. So definitely a very interesting story to share when there will be ready, for their migration and beta testing for the new platform. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that. Yeah,
That,
just, huh?
that's really interesting. So yeah, because I know that that was one of the earliest things you ever brought up to me was music coin.
Yeah.
And I know that we've had many talks as to maybe why music coin.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm curious. I mean, I know that he's in here right now, so I don't want to like put either of us on the spot to like talk about it. But you said that it's being revived almost like it's coming back.
Yeah, because they faced several problems as while they were experimenting with their model. But to me, it was really like the one of the first to try the really peer-to-peer system, like one stream equal one coin, and this was effective on their first platform. So literally, you could play one track and it gives you one coin. Or today we know Emanate that is following this path, where you listen 5 seconds and you get paid for 5 seconds. So it's more is this, but more in micro transaction level, where Musicoin it was just one play, one coin, you know, and but it was truly decentralized and really peer to peer streaming system. So that excited me the most when I understood what it meant, and especially at the time I was slowly waking myself on the blockchain thing. And so yeah, when I realized how advanced their philosophy was, I truly connected with those, and yeah, basically that's the first coin I ever bought as well. So I bought Bitcoin to buy music coins, and yeah, that was it. But yeah, they faced the number one problem they had to face was managing to have their own blockchain. You know, there was the Musicoin blockchain with its own network and own set of computers. And at some point, you know, when the project um, had some difficulties, you know, keeping on the progression, you know, the evolution, because at some point it was very costly and everything. The miners kind of lost faith, and so the blockchain itself stopped from processing the transaction that the platform was requiring to make the peer-to-peer streaming system work. And so they ended up at some point where the blockchain was executing zero transactions. So basically, the website was not working anymore because there were no more computer to process those transactions on their own blockchain. So they had to figure that out, and they moved into an ERC20 token last December, and so they are now working on integrating, you know, more fluid system like Minbase is doing with Near or OpenSea with Matic. They choose a company called Scale, which offers pretty much the same kind of evolution, and they are now based on the Ethereum blockchain, so they don't have to face again the problem of having your own network of miners to process your platform, your application. So yeah, that's the uh, resume of the situation, pretty much.
Okay. I maybe I'm mistaken. I feel like I feel like aren't they based on maybe this is somebody else. Maybe I'm wrong. But wasn't Music Coin based on some sort of XRP technology? Or am I tripping?
No, no, they are not. They really had their own blockchain, like their own network of computers. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No,
Is there a music?
yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't there an XRP based music platform? I almost thought that's what Music Coin was, but
No, but there is one. I only seen one as of now. We talked about it once, which isn't really a platform, but an ecosystem, you know, where you could rent studios in buildings based on the XRP ecosystem. We talked about that at some point. But truly just a platform for selling music with XRP. I only seen one, but it's in alpha stage, and the development of it hasn't didn't go forward because the creator of it was hired to work on basically a MetaMask for XRP, which is called Pay Burner. And so he focused on that, and he didn't develop further his prototype of a marketplace based on XRP, but the alpha was working, and I made like 200 XRP selling music there, something like that. So it was really beta testing, but it worked. The concept worked.
Oh, okay. Well then, yeah.
It was pretty
That,
much like an NFT, but you didn't get a receipt, but it worked not like a streaming system, but more like a marketplace of NFTs.
huh.
But really
Well, yeah. Then, yeah.
before, yeah, it was before I learned about the crypto art, like late 2019, I believe.
Dope. Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say I'm just like totally off then, but but cool. Do we uh do we have anything we want to start with while people get kind of more comfortable to kind of join in and chat with us? Which by the way, just in case people are just joining, we're pretty much opening the floor tonight. We want to just kind of chat with the community, see if you guys have any questions, have any thoughts on your mind about what's going on in the space. Yeah, we just kind of want to interact with everybody, have a chill show.
Yeah, you can see on the screen I'm on the XRP platform I just talked about, which is called X Songs, and it's very pretty minimal at this point and didn't evolve since 2 years. But it was working. You had a list of artists, and you can just basically click of any of them, have music, and then just buy the song with your XRP wallet. But yeah, I believe the servers aren't really up today, so now that I click here and there, it doesn't load anymore. So yeah, it's pretty abandoned. But I believe it was possible. So definitely, whether it's Ripple or how is it called? You know, Justin Bieber's manager, or they are working on it. I believe so. It just hasn't popped out yet.
Interesting. Yeah, I do remember you. That's what I remember. I think that is what you talked about, and this was like between the two of us. I don't think it was actually on the show. We might have briefly talked about it on the show, but I do remember that.
Hmm.
But it looks like we may have a question in the chat.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on Viberate? I thought they would skyrocket back 2 years ago, and it didn't seem to have happened. So, yeah, I know Viberate. I know I've put it on the map, but the from my memory, yeah, from what I've seen, from what I understood, it was just a database, but I haven't seen like a database on the blockchain, but I didn't see it like being something else, like a database. So I don't know what they've been up to recently, but
Yeah, me personally, I honestly have no idea what that is, which probably answers the question without answering it.
so yeah, I
Uh,
have it on screen right now, but yeah, it's a big database. They've updated their website, it seems, but it gives access to the pages of artists, festival, and genres, filtering options, editorial charts, and everything. Yeah, it's basically analytics, stats, a big database of artists all across the world. Kind of, maybe Discogs.org, which is a big database to music credentials and so on. And I believe they are working on something similar, but based on the blockchain to to have matching credentials based on the blockchain. I believe something like that, and as well as analytics. I see now they implemented analytics like for Spotify sales, Beatport, and all kinds of analytics on your music.
hmm,
So they're
yeah, I don't know.
supposed to provide a token for live events, but yeah, I'm not aware of that. But I have a thank you for the update. I will check it. Yeah, it's been a while since I haven't heard of Viberate, actually.
I mean, it's a good idea. I definitely like the idea of some sort of company or service that, like, if they worked with, like, every venue, if, like, one particular company, like, worked with every venue and, like, provided them some sort of, token or almost like a PO-op,
Yeah,
but for every show. I mean, I feel like every venue will do that, though, in the future, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Where
absolutely. That's where I believe my fascination for popes last week and prior came from. Like literally, I saw every event having some sort of souvenir as a digital form, and based on a free, you know, something that isn't costly and is just free. You create your tokens. Doesn't cost a cent, and you send it immediately to everyone who is coming to the event and so on. So yeah, I really see this.
Hey, I love the Pope. Clubhouse vibes. Love it.
Yeah.
Uh, um,
Shout out Carolina. Thank you for this amazing Pope.
yeah, Carolina always crushing it. I
Mhm.
always forget to get these popes. I probably have so many missed popes in my day that I'll probably in 10 years will be very upset that I missed out on. But that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, you have to get on the Pope thing and start taking the habit to collect those. Especially on TokenSmart, there's a Pope pretty much for every show. And yeah, I really like the idea, especially here experimenting where, yeah, when it will be mainstream, sure, there will be some competition, flexing popes and stuff. But here is really, the meaning of being here early, collecting the popes from being here in TokenSmart and everything. So it means a lot to me. And yeah, I, I love the popes in general. But it seems like
Yeah.
it's pretty much not that easy to do it yourself yet. I don't know if maybe someone can highlight that. But I tried to go on the website and start set up my own popes, for example, and it pretty much says contact us, something like that.
Mm,
Um,
that's weird. We got a pretty lengthy question here from Lindsay. Uh,
Hello.
it looks like it's a seven question. I'll read it.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so I'm curious the legal aspects of those who are selling music as either NFTs on blockchain, et cetera, all of the various methods out there. That has, say, a full instrumental version of a song and someone rapping over it. So I know there's always been changing and also sometimes lax or exact opposite of lax when it's come to this stuff. Lax isn't like relaxed, I'm assuming, like not worried about it. But someone using your song and then basically profiting from that piece. I mean, do people not care about their music being used or not? No. Or is it actually that they can't do anything about it? And is it a commotion so they just let it be? I'm assuming what you mean is it like, for example, if I sell an NFT with, like, my beat on, like, if I sell a beat, right, just a production beat as an NFT, are you saying what happens if somebody buys that and then uses that beat for, like, a song? Is that the question? Yeah, without fully knowing the question, I don't wanna, like, try to answer it. Um, I mean, the way I see it as is if you sell, I mean, if it's exploiting the music that's copywritten, I think copyright laws still exist regardless if you sell it as an NFT or not. So the way I understand it is it's kind of similar to if you sell your logo on a t-shirt, say you buy that t-shirt off of me, that doesn't mean that you all of a sudden can take that logo that's on that t-shirt and start selling it. That's kind of I think that's kinda how I would view it. Like I said, I think the way I understand it is copyright laws still exist,
Mhm.
like, regardless of NFTs. I see NFTs as, like, merch. If you're thinking traditionally, like, if you're thinking in the traditional Web 2 world, or just like really the old world, like even in the real world, I see NFTs as like merchandise almost, not necessarily like a different form of copyright. I think like
Hmm.
obviously like more people can get cut into an NFT, but I see it like merchandise. So I see it like if you have a song that's on an NFT, that doesn't mean that, the copyright is like out, for
Hmm.
free and people can just go and, just take your music and start exploiting it. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's going both ways because we see with the capabilities of smart contracts that in the future it will be able from the artist to set the rules and maybe let the people who buys the NFT to use it a certain way, allowed by the artist himself, and then implemented and compatible, Web3 compatible with everything, so that the NFT can even be, the master, the reference master, where IBM is actually involving into a patent platform for NFT platform, so you can legally, copyright a patent with an NFT, and so yeah, necessarily NFTs will become timestamps to protect artwork or patents or IDs or whatever. Um, and yeah, if you implement more smart contracts capabilities that can start to design a preventive way to avoid this question, and but as of now, it's pretty much wild, like very wild, where I can even see it here as a studio recording process where I work with rappers that just, come at my place and say, hey, I want to, rap on this type beat. And you're like, hell no, that's, that's just in the interest of no one because probably 4,000 people have already stole that type beat. And then you get to pay me to just be your recorder engineer and not just artistic director, able to provide you unique beats and so on. So it's just that it's their culture, so they just um, search type beats all day, when they're in their hood, and that's just for them an easy way to speed out and rap when they're at home, and so they have the habit of that, but it creates a mess and a chaos, when you have to come to the studio and get into the actually the business. Yeah. So
Oh, no, it was hilarious, I guess. No, I'm just the okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's how I see it as well. I mean, but like, yeah, like if I were to sell a beat, if I were to sell a beat, I saw you say earlier that if someone's selling a whole song as an like as an NFT, I'm guessing, I like once again, I just don't think that that has anything to do with like the actual copyright of the song, unless they're putting the copyright of the song within the NFT smart contract. That's different. That's like putting the license. Are you saying they're putting the license, the recopyrighting? Are they putting the license within the NFT? Yeah, we'll talk. Why don't you unmute your mic? Give it the unmute. You're muted, but you're not server muted. Just hit the unmute.
maybe on your phone or I don't know, somewhere else.
Okay, she left and came back. Um. Okay, yeah. I don't know. Uh. Yeah, I mean, we're not experts, though. I mean, at the end of the day, like I really don't even know if there's an answer to this question. I think it probably is a pretty gray area. There probably is a lot of unanswered questions here. Probably a good question for that reason. Um, But I just don't know why this would be an issue in the first place. I think that's kind of the thing I'm having trouble understanding because if I sell an if I put a song into an NFT and I sell it, I'm not worried about the copyright of that because I still own the copyright. Like, you're not gonna take my song and just go and do whatever you want with it. That's not the question. Alright, well, yeah, I don't know. What else is going on this week, huh? Has anything, like, really happened, even, like, people that you know? Like, I'm trying to think. of things that I've just been kind of who I've been talking to recently. And oh wait, I mean I don't want to say that too early. We're only like a little bit into the show.
I,
Um,
yeah, I forgot to make the shout out for the introduction song, but this was released just last week for very low key from Split, which is as well a pioneer. He was here very early, like last year when I got into the space and knowing Connie Digital. And he just released an album on Zora, and I have to say that I pretty much listened to it 1,000 times this week. And the token is now owned by Studio Nouveau, and so shout out to him for collecting. And he transferred it to the Studio Nouveau vault, which at some point I believe will have a great value. So shout out to Split, and this song really make me dance. Have the dance moves from Panther Modern in his videos. The same. You imagine me on this song. That's the vibe I get from that.
oh yeah, that was a pretty chill track. You did mention that before we got in here.
hmm Yeah, this week I haven't seen much news. I've seen this one. This one tweet from something called the Music Bees. Um, and it talked about a platform named Eluvio Live, which claims to be the world's first blockchain-backed 4K premium streaming and ticketing platform. And they are opening with the Black Eyed Peas on it on the June 11th. So I thought that it was a pretty big headline, and I haven't heard of the platform before, but definitely the Black Eyed Peas are coming with something here, and it looks like a live stream based platform, so probably around music and a ticketing platform as well.
Oh, that's interesting.
hmm
That'd be really cool if it was like a Twitch. I mean, the thing with like new platforms in the Web3 world is I'm not weary of them. I just feel like I'm gonna be overly skeptical just because all Twitch needs to do is legitimately do that. Like Twitch just pretty much any big platform just needs to incorporate Web3 technology
hmm
into the into their platform and they'll have the leverage just like they already do. And if you can do that, then you can start to like almost token gate or ticket gate
hmm
in with NFTs to certain shows. And then those tickets will, be like nostalgia and they'll be literal tickets that you can resell later down the ride later down the road. And it's not like they're gonna go for hundreds more than you bought it for, but I just think even if you're selling a ticket for $30 more than you were before, or even $5 more than you were before, I find that that's already more valuable than a ticket that you can buy in today's world, which the second you go to a show and you leave that show, I don't think that concert ticket's worth anything, let alone the same thing. And
But do you believe the NFT, the digital version, will supposedly worth something? Maybe because of the
I think that
culture of it, maybe. But
I think it'll be worth more just simply because of the what's the word? I want to say scarcity, but that's not really the word for it. It's just, like, provable. It's like it's not the s I mean, I guess, like, a real physical ticket is provable as well, but there's something about that it's like because it's not physical, it's almost like it's untouchable, so when you have that digital asset, it's kind of just all like, you can't dirty up, a digital ticket, you know what I mean? You can't really
mhm.
fuck up a digital so I think I mean, not everybody's digital tickets are gonna go for more money, but, I find it, um at the end of the day, it's really I just find that that NFT is gonna have much more value, especially if there's only 100 say somebody throws a digital show in a metaverse and it's on, like, a platform like Twitch or maybe this platform that you just pulled up, and there's only 100 people that are allowed, period. Only 100 people. And basically, those 100 tickets allow those people to come in, and then well, of course, because of the scarcity of those tickets, that's obviously gonna create the value of it, but also because there's only 100 of those tickets, the people who have those in their wallet and there's no way to duplicate an NFT like that. You can't fake that type of thing. So, well, who knows? Who knows what people are gonna be able to do in the future? But, um, But yeah, I do think that it's gonna be more valuable. In short, I do think that digital tickets will be much more valuable, and it'll be much easier to prove that. There'll be like a secondary market for these types of things, but I think most people will just hold on to them because they just kind of believe in whatever they bought. So, um, yeah, I mean, all Twitch needs to do is come up with a Web3 way to do what they're already doing, and this platform's beat immediately. It's like, what are they gonna do to beat Twitch? Twitch's reach is massive, and some of the biggest Twitch streamers right now are hardly even like doing gaming at this point. They're really just talking live, and they're just hanging out, doing weird shit live, and that's cool. And it's like, what happens when they start to stop, or maybe they start to token gate half of their streams, or they start
Hmm.
to just just make it a ticket to come to their streams, and even if that ticket's $1, they're gonna make so much more money, and they're already getting paid during their streams too. Like
Yeah, but
Twitch allows
that's
you to
not
sub and all
much.
that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but I was just saying that it was not much, and it's actually funny because I actually worked on something like the platform we are talking about right now, and but obviously it was like way out of our scale, to develop something like this. But we worked on the idea of basically, yeah, a kind of decentralized platform for live events, and you just basically stream your party, and whether it's a local party in flat or on a festival level, and just basically it would be a sort of a database where you can just connect like Twitch, but for music live events and based on decentralized payments. But at some point, we it was, yeah, not reachable for us, so we kind of drop it. But that's pretty much exactly what I'm reading from this platform, and we knew it, would come someday to have exclusive live events platform with Web3 implemented in them. But at the same time, I'm wondering from hearing you, like, do you think at some point there will be, artists will have a plethora, a big ecosystem of tools to use and make them all interact all with each other? Or maybe there will be this one winner takes all and just have the perfect platform to cover, booking, live streams, royalties, masters, copyrights, and remix and everything. And maybe artists will just use one platform to do it all at some point.
Yeah, I mean it's a good question. I think obviously we don't really know the answer as at this current moment, but my gut tells me that ultimately the up capitalism usually leads to the people with leverage to gaining the most power, and people are swayed by money, and people are swayed to um people are swayed enough by incentives to go to one platform. So if I was the top Twitch streamer, would I go to some brand new platform and help them blow up their platform? Because there would have to be an incentive that that platform's giving me, and if that platform isn't giving me more than the platform that I've already built my following on, what's the incentive for them to utilize that platform? I mean, I think if anything is gonna happen, it's going to be streamers or any musician or any artist, not necessarily going to multiple platforms or picking a platform, but creating their own, so to speak. Like, imagine if you were able
Hmm.
to token gate your own live stream from your own website. I mean,
I see that
that
as well. Yeah.
I could see that being more likely um than say than even this platform popping off, because it really like anybody who's popular who really already has their following is going to follow them wherever, and if they can have the control to customize that with their own website and their own live stream and gate it completely customized, I mean, that's the future. And
Hmm.
then what's gonna end up happening is those people with their followings are going to end up being the new companies. They're gonna end up being the new monopolies. Uh, and that's I mean, dude, that's an interesting topic to just get into, is the fact that I do think that a lot of these really popular creators of today's time, like, I don't wanna say names because I feel like it's gonna just alienate a different group, but, you know, any super popular influencer, whether they're from the TikTok world or the YouTube world or the Twitch world, um, they have followings that are cult-like in the sense that they're if they figure out this game and they figure out how to leverage it properly, in 10 years, they will be the new Nike. I know that sounds crazy, but they will have the power of a Nike because they are going to have all of these kids from age 8 and they're gonna grow up with them while they grow up. I mean, that's what happened with the Logan Paul, like with the Logan Pauls, you know, like the Paul brothers and all that stuff. They they cultivated their fans from a young age, and now they're finally turning into, you know, young adults,
Hmm.
and it's working. And if they're able to leverage that properly as they keep going, and I know they will. These people are all smart. They do get it. Of course, they might play attention games, but those attention games are based on Web 2 world. So imagine when those types of games don't need to be played anymore, and it's more about catering to your community for their value and the exchange of both. And if there's a token involved and your fans can get rich with you while you get rich, there's no reason for me to go to another platform if I can create it myself. And yeah, I mean, I might have just said a lot there, but I think that most of these creators are gonna be able to almost have the leverage to create their own platforms. That's ultimately where I see it going long term, is that a lot of these creators will have their own platforms.
Yeah, I agree with you, but to get there, maybe there we need, to get to a point where most of the used API are open source, because until then, you still requires, to use this platform to be your bridge to having your own ecosystem. But I believe that, yeah, you can write your own smart contract. You can build pretty much all these tools and or exploit them once they are open source enough for you to implement it in a very personal way, and so that you don't use a middleman to achieve this. But I believe maybe it will be pretty costly as a from the developers and everything to set in place. So maybe not all artists will be able in the first place to reach that, but
Right.
maybe at some point we get there.
No, yeah, yeah, and you said it. You said it. You're definitely right. I mean, first of all, like the the infrastructure has to be there, of course. Am I still good? Sorry, my
Mm-hmm.
computer was acting up.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But you're right. Yeah, the infrastructure will have to be there for it to work for a smaller level creator or even a medium level creator.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that I'm saying that are going to be able to pull this off are the ones that are literally pulling like 100,000 people into a live stream on a consistent basis.
Mm-hmm.
And that is there are people out there doing that today. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know if
yeah.
anybody in this chat knows who Aiden Ross is, but, he's popping off recently, and he's also in a creator house with 2 of, in my opinion, I mean, honestly, the whole house is full of just incredibly forward-thinking creators in the influencer world, and I think that that house is going to be very, 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 very powerful, like, very, very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And they do streams and, they do streaming shit, they do YouTube content, and it's like, you know, it's your typical, influencer type of content, you know? It's random, it's very specific to their communities,
Mm-hmm.
but they have a cult-like fan base, and if they can scale that enough, and with the money that what they probably have, and if they use it correctly and they use their attention correctly, I think they could be the first to create a platform in which they own the whole infrastructure. And if that works one time, if that works one time for one creator, every other creator is going to be like, wait a minute, I want to do this. Just like Blau drops NFTs and Rack and RIC and all of these artists drop music NFTs and they make all this money, and then what do you see? All of these other artists follow suit. And that doesn't mean that that's going to be like some big tide turning moment because, you know, what, 10 weeks ago or 14 weeks ago, I think it was episode 6 when we talked about Gary Vee getting involved
Mm-hmm.
and Russ getting involved and all these big celebrities getting involved. And we were
Yeah.
like, oh my God, this is it. It's happening. Here we are. Here we are 14 weeks later. And people know about it, but it still hasn't clicked for the majority. And first of all, I think that's amazing. I love that. I think it gives us more time.
Yeah,
gives us
yeah.
more time to gives us more time to really think and really to be not to think and just do nothing, which is something that I do too much sometimes, but it gives us more time to really make sure that we build our moat properly and we build our space to a position that when it does go mainstream, we're able to be super popular, so to speak. Like not popular, but like we're able to compete when the mainstream comes, right? So, um, I mean, I guess there's, I'm sorry, my computer be acting weird sometimes.
No,
But
you're okay.
okay. But yeah, I mean, in short, I think you are right though that it would have to be a massive creator, and they would kind of have to go all in on that,
Hmm.
and it might in the short term be bad for their audience and be bad for their brand and be bad for money maybe, but I think in the long term, if they get that land grab early, I was talking to Connie today actually, and we were literally talking about this. It's that right now it's like the wild wild west in terms of land grabbing and ideas.
Hmm.
There's all these great ideas out here, but it's really about who's gonna grab the land first
Hmm.
and who's gonna set up shop and who's gonna do the idea first. Like who's gonna put some real stuff down on paper and actually execute it first. Because
Hmm.
and it's like why I say it's the wild wild west is like it's so open. Like there are that nobody's staked, nobody has any land yet, so to speak, and it's all open. We can just run in, and if you got guns ablazing and you pull it off, you're savage enough, you make it happen. You're gonna be the first one there, and you're gonna be the first one to reap the benefits of that. And if you are good at managing and keeping that thing going, you're gonna have that leverage long term. So I think it's very much like that with the creator world, the creator economy in the Web 2 world as well as here. So it's um it's really interesting. And I'm reading these comments right here. Um Decentralized servers, but Ivan Tech has started to do in his own field. Yeah, I mean, Ivan on Tech, he's a crypto guy too, actually. Um, and most of his followers are now watching his daily streams on his own website. Yeah, that's hard to do, no doubt. It's way easier for someone to just be on YouTube where they've been their whole life, and that's the biggest thing right now. The biggest thing is people are so comfortable with centralization. They're comfortable being centralization is comfortable. That's probably the biggest barrier to entry right now is people are too comfortable with the centralized world, despite the benefits that a decentralized, more freedom, value sharing community has. That requires more responsibility. It requires more work from not only the creator but for the consumer as well. Even if I got to go to your website, that's more work. And even if you give me a token, well, now I got to manage the token. Now I got to pay attention to it. Like these are things that I just think most people are just simply not interested in uh really getting involved in. I think it's like a lot of work for them mentally, and they don't see it fully enough to really understand the benefit of going all in on that. So, it's interesting. I love that.
Yeah.
Someone needs to coin that.
The Wild Wild West. I love that song from Will Smith from that movie, The Wild Wild West. Is that it?
Yeah, that
But yeah, the centralization, I believe, on many cases for music initiatives and more the having servers based on Amazon, Google, Google Clouds and so on is an issue as well. So when you claim to provide a decentralized tool and your website is hosted on Amazon, for example, that can be a conflict of interest somewhere. But as well, that's interesting what La Hojita said about mentioning all the stories from the music and blockchain space that failed because there were a lot of them, a lot of initiatives has actually failed and are down today. Some of them had enough strength to revive, like Musicoin and Shun, for example, or yeah, the different ones, Shun that turned into Rocky, and but many of them just vanished into the nature and were pretty much will be forgotten, I believe, at some point as just early experiments that helped, document and the rest of the community to inspire from their failure and then build something worthful after that. And yeah, maybe someday we can, do a show about all the failed initiative and why they failed, and what's up today on that side, and everything. That would be interesting. But as well, so much references on that map. I believe I remember last year just had a couple of names, picturing the blockchain space, the music and blockchain space, and now I have so much. It's crazy what happened in 1 year, and I'm still, wondering at the pace of today if it's still possible to track like I did, from that time frame, all the emerging music initiative with the blockchain. So, but yeah, many have failed, and worse, getting into to learn what happened, and but yeah, crazy to
I,
see all that in 1 year.
not to be too generalized with why things fail, but I do think that the number one reason why anything, because it's because I said it's like the Wild Wild West, blah blah blah. The number one reason why I think anything fails right now is not because of a lack of an idea. It's just they don't really want to do it. Because in my opinion, if you have the idea, the land grab is so easy right now. If you have the idea,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I mean, sometimes the ideas are just too ambitious and too big, and you just don't realize it because it's a new way. Like for example, with Musicoin, like having the problem of managing your own blockchain didn't seem like a problem at first. It's just scaling that at some point you need trust enough from the whole networks that maybe lose face on the project to follow you, and you didn't realize that earlier, but your dream was to be fully decentralized and have your own blockchain and everything. But it sometimes ideas are too big, and the intention is can be good, but you just realize afterwards that the idea is just maybe too big for you, or for the short time you try to do it, or the finances, or many aspects. I don't know.
no, I mean, you're totally right. I agree with that. A lot of these, that's the thing. Like, it is a lot of. I mean, dude, think about our idea that we had like a month ago, like 2-3 months ago
Hmm.
in February, and granted, we saw, and we were trying to do that with Matthew,
Hmm.
and what ended up happening was our idea was just simply too grand. Like, it was too difficult to achieve, essentially, because it would have just required too much work. And in short too, that idea would have required too much work, and we didn't really have the time or the resources to really pull it off. Whereas a simpler idea, which which was much simpler to achieve, which ended up being Song Camp, is exactly what occurred, and that's exactly why it worked. It's because, once again, the land grab. I don't know what that was, but the
It's
land grab the
Lucy.
land
Shout out.
grab was right there for us and for everybody. But at the end of the day, it's like, our idea was too ambitious. Whereas, like, all somebody has to do is just do the simplest thing. Like, it's obvious that, hey, we're in a Web3 world. It's decentralized. Let's just do that in the simplest possible way in every field of creation. From music, you saw it in art. You're seeing it in music now. And when is it going to happen with movies? When is it going to happen with TV shows? you know but the problem with those two things is those two things are so centralized. The difficulty of those two things, music's pretty centralized too, but music has become more and more, um I don't really know if the word decentralized is ever legitimate
Yeah, but
anymore,
it's
but like,
easier for actors to move quickly and don't be involved with too much troubles or links with groups of peoples and contracts and stuff.
yes,
More
yeah,
agile, more
exactly,
agile.
the Hollywood net web is way more powerful than like the label net in music. As much as as much as the music label net does probably suck up a lot of good talent, a lot of good talent also can sneak out. But like, in the actor, actress, director, film people world, that shit's too powerful for the centralized world to not buy up every good film. And if you have the budget to pull off a great film, you most likely are either extremely rich and already come from a centralized family, or you are going to be bought or you're going to be questioned immediately. And this is a great point. Companies like Netflix is 100%. Netflix at one point might have looked like it was a YouTube equivalent of TV, but yeah, it's basically fucking television now. It's centralized. There's a bunch of bullshit on there. No, I mean, I know there's probably people in this Discord that have watched every single Netflix show of all time,
Maybe.
which is fine. Which is fine. I'm not judging you if you have. But it is but yeah, I mean it's irrelevant either way, I guess. I was just saying that there is like that's the next thing is like there's a lot of great ideas and there's a lot of land to grab, but a lot of these ideas are simply too ambitious. And if it is too ambitious, just simplifying the idea could be the answer for a lot of these companies. But um But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of just ranting. I
No,
totally forgot
no.
what the original question was.
Absolutely. You're not renting. It was that. And yeah, they can manipulate their fees easily. Many people have become addicted to Netflix and they're likes. And yeah, I saw that with Amazon as well. Like the TV shows in France are slowly being bited, you know, bite by bite, by the big platforms. And even of today, we have a pretty famous tennis sport, tennis challenge here in France, and tennis championship, and it has always been, streamed via the national channel and one of the national channel. And now it's not only the national channel, but they shared half of the match with the Amazon. So they are slowly beating, every show on the TV, and yeah, slowly blending TV with their platform, obviously.
Yeah. I do. I do. I was gonna say that people, with the comment of people have become addicted to Netflix. Um, and mainly television. They've become. I think it just goes back to the thing I was saying earlier, which to me, most people are more comfortable. Simply speaking, they're more comfortable with a centralized world. They're more simple. They're more comfortable being told what to do. I hate to put it like that, but that's what the majority of people are comfortable with. They don't want the responsibility to have to find their community. I remember when I was in ninth grade, and this was a while ago. I have no idea how long ago. That was like 10 years ago. I was more interested in. Oh, it was more than that. It was like it was probably like 10 years ago. But my point is that's when I found YouTube. And when I found YouTube, I literally stopped watching television because what I realized was I could choose what I want to watch. And I've been watching YouTube ever since. That's the only thing I watch. If I watch anything at all, it's YouTube because you literally you can find anything on YouTube. You can find any sort of entertainment, you can find anything you want. But the problem with most people in YouTube is you got to do the digging yourself. You kind of have to be a good judge of what you like and what you don't like. You got to be able to kind of do that. If that makes like you have to be able to decide for yourself. And I'm not trying to say that people don't have that ability. I'm just saying I think most people are more inclined to be like, "Oh, what's new on Netflix today? Let me go on Netflix." And the problem with that is that these shows are being funded by centralized sources, and all the actors and all the people involved are all in a centralized agency or this, that, and the other. It's very rare that you actually have an independent film actually make it to Netflix. Even Netflix originals at this point are basically just shittier versions of movies or centralized movies.
Yeah.
And the only reason I bring this up is just because, we were talking about ambitious ideas and we are talking about, basically the future of like where all of this could go. And I know this isn't necessarily music related, but we see that it's working with music because, like I said, musicians have a little bit more room to get free and to be successful without getting and joining in the industry. Whereas to make a film, to make a TV show, to make a whole TV series, you need a massive crew of people that are all dedicated to that cause, and they all need to be paid and compensated for that. That takes a massive budget. That takes a massive vision. That takes a lot of work. And to get all of those people involved in something in a decentralized manner, first of all, would be fucking legendary. And
Yeah,
but secondly, it would be almost impossible. But imagine when movies are NFT tickets, and the only way to watch the movie is I can watch it on my phone right now. All I got to do is buy the NFT. I buy the NFT, which is a trailer of the movie. I
yeah.
buy that NFT, and it unlocks the movie. I mean, come on, how simple? How simple is that? That's fucking the ticket right there. Like, but the
That's what
problem
I
with that
see
is
for
you
the
got to
future
get the
of
actual
Netflix.
movie.
Yeah, that's what I see for the future of Netflix actually. Like the video games platforms, like you just own
Yep.
your token for access to watch this or that on the platform. Um
Yep.
Today it's
100%.
based on subscription like Spotify, but maybe they will go that direction where you just this subscription give you a number of token and then you spread them across their network. That would be pretty much a utopia when you look at how it works now, but I'm not sure they will go into that direction. So we will see, but that's a possibility, a speculation that is likely to that can happen.
Definitely. I mean, not to tease anything, but I legitimately am kind of doing something along the lines of what I just said in a very, very basic amateur way. I didn't make a film. I didn't make a TV show, but I do have like a documentary-esque vlog of my experience with Song Camp recently,
Hmm.
and I it's about an hour and a half long of footage. Did I share that with you yet? By the way, I didn't
I
share that
saw
with
the
you yet, did I?
teaser. I saw the teaser.
Oh, okay, you saw the teaser.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I didn't show you the full thing yet. You'll get it. You'll get it for free. Sorry, everybody else. But the point, but
Thank you.
but the point is I think that, and also what's really cool about these NFT things is, once again, is you can create a full experience with that ticket. You don't just have to give them the movie. You could give them that NFT ticket could unlock not just the movie, but it could unlock a a video that tells you, how to watch that movie. What's the best thing that you should do to set yourself up for success in watching the movie. Maybe it gives you a little list and it all pops up right on that NFT. It sounds so obvious, maybe, and maybe basic in a way, but that's the type of stuff that I think is most interesting, with these types of tickets. But something that I'm actually doing is I have this documentary from that song camp, and I'm actually utilizing the trailer as it's going to be, I think this is actually gonna be my first personal NFT. And I'm using it as essentially it's an unlockable NFT where you're going to be able to buy it. There's only going to be a very, very small amount of these, and you're going to be able to buy this, and it'll give you access to the documentary as well as all kinds of snippets from the music, from the demos, the start of the music, all the way to the final. And I have like a list of instructions on how to utilize the snippets to go along with the documentary. That way, it's not a documentary, but like, it's like a vlog sort of. And this will explain to you how to actually properly kind of walk through the process of the song camp, um,
Yeah.
and as well as some other little things as well, like some tokens and shit. But
Like,
but imagine, yeah, but Netflix, video games, I could see all that being the case. Whereas that's the way they approach it. It would just have to be affordable, and everybody would have to be able to utilize it simply.
yeah. I mean, the planet maybe just aligned. We got Vandal in the house. Hello. And I was about to bring the next my main next concern today, which is royalties on the NFT level. And tonight we're on a clubhouse vibe. So Vandal, if you feel like opening your mic and come talk with us about this, you're absolutely welcome. And so but yeah, my personal concern right now, after the craze and everything, all the fanciness, the fancy use that NFTs can bring, I believe that what will truly unlock the next wave of artists getting into the space is necessarily the the big capability of royalties cut at the NFT levels, because right now, when you want to onboard people in the music, or because today it's easy to do NFT yourself. The more you're alone, the more easy it's to deal with. But I'm trying to onboard different artists, but that have combinations on the master track and even a visual. And I'm thinking like, okay, I want to get all these people into an NFT, but some of them are not even aware of the blockchain world, and I looking for them for an easy process to just do the NFT and get them to learn along the way. But I'm kind of facing the struggle between the how easy the concept is to explain, but when you get to the technical aspect of it, um, it's pretty hard, especially lately with the layer 2 solutions and everything, to get someone who doesn't know what Bitcoin is to get to that near protocol or Matic level of doing an NFT with them. So I'm kind of wondering, and even me I'm working on a second album, and I think that my main concern, my main innovation will be to try to I don't know when it will be released, maybe in 3 6 months, I don't know, but maybe at that time I will be able to find the right solution to incarn this upgrade on the NFT level. And yeah, so I don't know, I see that you've uh, opened your mic, and
Yeah.
how are you?
What's up, guys? I'm good.
Hey,
Thanks.
what up,
Thanks,
bro?
man.
Yeah, it's been a
What's up,
while
Mai?
since I wanted to have you here as well, but I know you've been very, very busy the past weeks, and for very good reasons that are emerging today.
Yeah, yo, I want to address the issue that you were talking about royalties and onboarding and being able to like create splits for people who aren't necessarily on any of the blockchain platforms, right?
Mhm,
And how to get people on. And I know these are kind of the challenges that we're facing at the moment,
mhm.
especially
I know you do this a
if we
lot,
want
yeah.
to. If we, yeah. So what I've noticed, particularly with what we're doing with Mintbase and on Near, is the ability to set your royalty splits for up to I think 50 people on the main sale royalty, and then also you can have was it a forever royalty? So that's like a
Mhm,
secondary sale royalty. But a solution to that would be to create the let's say, for example, if you're using Near, I'm not sure about the other protocols, but from
mhm,
my experience with using Near, is you can create Near names for all the people who might not have accounts.
mhm,
And then when they're ready, you can send them the name for them to activate it, and then they can access their account right away. But you can include them on all the splits. So what I found is that even if someone hasn't, confirmed their name already,
mhm.
they can confirm it later on, and then when they open up the wallet, it will already have whatever income that they've made off of any sales and splits. So I think that potentially could be a solution, at least like in the interim, until it's a lot easier for for people who
Yeah.
aren't, don't have a MetaMask or don't have a ETH wallet or a Matic or Near wallet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That sounds
absolutely.
that sounds dope.
I was wondering, like,
I know that. Yeah.
when it comes to
Oh no, go ahead.
making a sale on Minbase with the Near protocol, like, will they be paid in Near, or because maybe I had a misconception about it, but I saw it as something with a combination for kind of the layer 2 for Ethereum, in the like of Matic, where if you mint on Matic, you can still see the tokens on OpenSea, because I believe they are working on an implementation, but when it comes to Near, yeah, will they be paid with Near, and will there be some interaction in that like?
Yeah, so the currently on Mintbase, it's paid out in Near. I'm sorry, Mintbase on Near will be all
Mm-hmm,
paid out in Near. I know that there's some interoperability in the works, and there's already an EVM created by Aurora, so it's relatively easy to be able to move tokens back and forth through from the Near ecosystem into the Ethereum ecosystem.
mm-hmm.
The NDI is also a great way, so you can do stable coins. You can move stable coins onto Near through
Okay.
through the bridge as well. I've tried it out, but if you're moving from Ethereum over to Near, you're gonna have to pay the transaction fees, right? And then getting back out. So I think those are still the little hiccups and challenges that we had. And in terms of OpenSea integration, I know this is something that there's been conversation with Near about integrating, and I imagine a lot of the layer 2 solutions will be integrating interoperability with the various marketplaces, because it only makes sense. And also,
Yeah.
I know there was a question about the secondary market sales royalty. The split can be different people as well. So you can have two sets of splits. One split is your sales split, and the other split would be your secondary sales split.
Yeah. You wanted to talk, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say that sounds fucking sick. I know that you and I were literally talking about royalty splits before we even got on here, because I know both of us were talking about how we kind of want to, kind of like on chain, like put the splits onto things. And that was gonna be my question: was what's the downside of using Near versus like something like Mirror, which was what we used for the song camp drop recently, which was very smooth. It was super simple, but I realized for Mirror, you have to be accepted, and that is a pretty intensive process. It seems like you have to have like thousands of votes to get a Mirror account so that you can actually uh, utilize the split service. I don't think that that's just for everybody to use. I could be wrong, but with the Near, yeah. So what would be like the biggest problem is just what, like transferring and having to utilize their currency basically.
Yeah, I think it's the integration and the interoperability of moving between the Near protocol and Ethereum. It's getting easier, and I think those solutions will become a lot smoother to work out. But yeah, I think, and another issue I think for Americans is getting Near. So there are a few places you can go to get it. I know not everybody has like a Binance account or anything like that, and I think that slowly I heard there's going to be a big listing coming up. I think in a couple months that they're going to be announcing, so that should make it a lot easier for people to use or to access the currency. But it's fairly straightforward. I think if you've been in the ecosystem long enough, if you've been able to set up your Matic and swap over from Ethereum to Matic and connect that way, I think doing that with Near should be just as easy or complicated, depending on
Yeah,
the
that's
experience.
what
Right,
I
right.
was thinking, because I set up myself last week for Matic because I'm so excited to get into
Yeah.
wearables again. But I kind of had a little
Yep.
struggle getting there. I got there. I'm set up, but I haven't minted any wearables yet. But yeah, I had a situation, where I have an artist, a visual artist that is doing a cover for one of our geniuscorp release, and I thought, like, this artist is too brilliant, the song is good and everything. I would want to make it an NFT, but the artist is really not aware of the blockchain space at all, and I thought, like, okay, maybe if I had, Ethereum solution today, maybe I could take the burden of trying to explain him, and maybe that will pass. He would, be skeptic, but maybe okay. But I feel for this particular use case that trying to getting him on the level of Matic or Near or any layer 2 solution is something that I will lost him for sure at this point right now. But I agree that's a good solution, yeah, to set up Near names for them, and the time they are ready, to process the information and understand why it's that today, because I explained them like it's moving every day, and it's for the good purposes. So we always have to keep up, and yeah, it's still an experimenting thing and everything. So, but I know maybe like I told you, there will be a solution in 3 or 6 months that I will feel comfortable experimenting with for my album. But as I'm maybe more advanced, I can expect from the audience to have this knowledge already and uh, embed the best practices and everything. But for onboarding someone, I still feel this paradox, of
Mhm.
this barrier, technological barrier. But I really believe that the music will unlock once this is more fluid, on a more mainstream way. Like Mai said, there was all this NFT craze this past month, but now that it kind of settles down, goes back down, we see that people are just aware of this, but this hasn't really clicked. Like there is not still this big revolution of all artists getting into the space and trying to set up, because I believe there is still this barrier. Like, okay, NFTs is interesting, but how do I do, for example, ecological NFTs, with royalties and something that isn't just limiting uh, me to be me only, and actually more collaborative on a wider scale.
Yeah, that's true, man. And we're getting there, I think, slowly but
Yeah.
surely. One thing I noticed though is with onboarding onto Near, I think it's been I found easier than say with Matic or even Ethereum,
Hmm.
in that you don't have to download a wallet. You just go to your browser, you go to
Yeah.
wallet.near.org, and then you can just log in, and you can also secure your account through an email or a phone number, which also helps. So you don't always have to have the seed phrase on hand, so you can secure it through multiple
Okay.
ways to do it. And I think sometimes that's also easier for people who are like, "What seed phrase? What? Huh?" you know.
Yeah.
But but yeah, and just the fact that they don't have to download anything extra, I think it
Mm.
is
Yeah.
good. And once you're logged in, you're kind of connected and easy to move between accounts, and connect to apps. I think it's pretty smooth.
Hmm.
This is a this is an interesting conversation because it makes me ask the question. And this is for both you guys. What do you think will happen first? Do you think the technology will become so easy and so fluid to use that the barrier to entry and the barrier to use will just make people naturally gravitate sooner? Or do you think that the education will click faster? Like, for example, everybody that's here right now, I would argue that we didn't do it because it was simple. We did it because we understood it enough to realize this is powerful and we want to understand it. So I mean, I still don't even really understand it enough, but I understand the education enough to go through the barriers to utilize it. So the question is what do you guys think will make it go mainstream first? The technology becoming so simple to use and the transaction fees being zero? Or do you see like a wave of mass education coming out of just pure denial and despair for the world that we're in right now?
I'd say careful what you wish for, to be honest.
Well,
Like
I'm not wishing for anything. I'm
where
just curious.
well, I think a lot of people want to have that sort of access and have everybody on and adoption. I think adoption's been something that a lot of people talk about in the space in onboarding, right? So when you have more people, obviously you have more issues and you kind of dilute what's happening sometimes. So it's like we're in this it's still really underground, this whole scene, right? And it's an underground
Definitely,
scene, and you
definitely.
can even see people who were in it before this new wave came in, and you can see how they're reacting to all the new people in the space. And even
100%.
though it hasn't really even been that long, there's still that sense of like, well, like I liked it better when it was less crowded, kind of thing,
100%.
Hmm.
I say this all the time. I'm like, "Listen, you guys don't." And look, my perspective's interesting, and Vandal, you know this, you were literally one of the first people that I ever really had a good conversation with in this
Mhm.
space that really onboarded, so to speak, in quotes, in me into the community. Well, shout out for you for that. But,
That's right.
but, yeah, so one of the most interesting things, though, is I argue, and I try to say this to everybody who considers themself an OG, it's like, "Look, it doesn't matter, and it's not gonna matter in a year. It's not gonna matter in 2 years. No one's gonna care. No one's literally no one's gonna
Mhm.
give a shit. And unless you can leverage what you consider to be OG, otherwise it's like you're just basically just holding on to that for your ego and your pride. Because I do agree, it probably was way better when there's less people here. If you were making money and you were successful in this space with that small community, why would you want more people here? That's more competition. Now you have to actually be better than everybody else around you.
Hmm.
That's not
Yeah.
easy. That now it's more that's the problem. And but also though, I understand both sides though, but it's inevitable. And it's inevitable that, like I said, in 2 years, if you're here today, you're an OG. If you got here today, if you just discovered NFTs today, in 2 years, you're an OG, 100%. If I would argue that if anybody who learns about this space in the next 6 months still has an opportunity to be considered an OG in 5 years when it's actually mainstream.
Yeah.
And
True.
so
Yeah,
that's
but
the thing that I think a lot of people aren't fully like grasping of. You almost have to treat it like every day is the first day, so that you actually can build and leverage the idea of being here first, so to speak. But I do agree with you also though. I was just saying to Mighty before, but I don't know if you were here earlier, but I was saying like I'm glad that it didn't pop off the way that I was saying it was going to 14 weeks ago, when we were like, oh, Gary V, Russ, all these big name people we know are getting into the space. We're like, this is going to blow the space up. But it didn't. And I think that's what kind of started the next conversation, which was like, why? What is it that people don't get? It's either that they're not connecting with the technology and understanding how it's going to free them, or a combination of all it, or two, they are simply just more comfortable being in a centralized world. They would rather be told what to do. They would rather have a world that is pretty much like created for them, instead of having them have to have the responsibility to create. Because although this world is freeing and it is better in a lot of ways for creators, that adds a layer of accountability and responsibility that I think most people aren't really able to handle for themselves. And I think that's probably why it hasn't happened in the speedy way that maybe we thought it would, by just seeing big celebrities come in. And not to mention all the technical difficulties as well, which once again just goes back to the technical difficulties would be a problem if you understood
Yeah.
the why. Like if you understood the tech, so to speak, and what it does for you, you would want to learn the tech, so to speak. It's like a video game that's challenging, or anything. If you want to do it, you're going to learn how to use it. So it's an interesting debate. I think it goes both ways, and I see both sides, but it is inevitable
I
that the mainstream will eventually be here.
I see an aspect,
Go ahead.
an additional aspect of it, like all we faced since the last 20 years with within the evolution of the music industry. Like we saw number one Billboard artists today that were early SoundCloud users, and the same for MySpace, and the same everyone who get very early on every niche of music, revolutionary niche of music, took advantage a lot more than anyone who came the years later. The same on YouTube and every platform. Twitch, I believe, is the same. And so I think that here it's the same thing, but maybe with a dimension that we don't fully apprehend yet, because it's too big, because it's timeless, on the blockchain, and he won't be deleted, or it will live for the next 1,000 years, hopefully. And so it's the same thing we experienced for the last 20 years of exploiting the early access of the disruptive platforms, but in a more exponential way that we are yet to witness, I believe. But yeah, what I wanted to say as well.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I think I want to play devil's advocate for a minute, right?
Mhm.
And say, like, I think that a lot of artists are going to be excluded. There's going to be a
Mhm.
lot of exclusion. The people who don't grasp the technology, who don't have the means or the resources to have people help them out,
Mhm.
or have a team, or have access to the knowledge, even, or like, I think if you're thinking about musicians who are just like, I'm an artiste, right? And I focus on just making my craft, and I don't even do anything on social media other than like random posts. And I
Yeah.
saw this happen before, after well, once social media came into effect, right? The artists who weren't so technical, or savvy on computer stuff, tended to be
Mhm.
like left out when it came to being successful, being a successful artist. And what constitutes being a successful artist today?
Yeah.
Well, you've
Yeah.
got to be able to handle your social media accounts, right?
Mhm.
You have
Yeah,
to know how
that's
to brand
something I don't
yourself. You
like.
have to
Yeah.
know how to like what type of posts and photos to use and shit. And some artists just like are like, huh,
Mhm.
okay, and then they get left behind. And I think that this is going to leave a generation of artists behind as well, but it will open up the doors to the new generation of artists who are going to come in, and they're
For
going to
sure.
create something
Mhm.
that is something that we've yet to witness yet.
Yeah, because that
No,
was
I
this.
definitely,
Yeah,
I definitely.
go ahead. I just wanted to say
No, I
like
was gonna say,
just wanted to say that
please,
it
please.
was the
No,
same
you go.
for a music artist, a CD artist that was
Yeah.
facing, the downloading and like what you put the music onto a file that is shared across a network. Well, that seems I don't understand this. I will keep my CD and keep selling CDs. I feel like it's pretty
Hmm.
much the same vibe as well. So yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I mean, I agree with with ultimately the point of view. Like being left behind in a different way though. I wouldn't say it has to do with the technology is what's going to leave them behind. I just think it's a new game now. It's not the same. It's not like, the web 2 game it's much different than the web 3 game in my opinion. And in my opinion, the web 3 game has just begun. And what I mean by that is I think that how to play the web 3 game hasn't even been figured out yet. And I think that that's the thing that I feel like I harp on the most with the people that I work with closely is I try to be like, look, we don't know what the fuck the answer really is. Like, we don't know what's really going to work with the majority of people. And by people, I mean like your average listener. Like, what's an average Drake fan who doesn't really give a shit too much, but he consumes all of Drake's music? Like, that's the most passive fan you can possibly get, right? I use Drake as an example because he's huge, and you don't have to be a music nerd to know who Drake is. And so, what is it that's going to attract that type of consumer into a Web3 world? It's super easy. Everybody's on Instagram, everybody's on Twitter, everybody's on Facebook, everybody's on these things. So it's easy to just open that up and scroll and see your favorite artists and to engage very simply. You can like, you can comment. It's simple. There's nothing really to it. The NFT world is that times 300. Now there's a massive layer of creativity and experience bringing to all of that. Yeah, sure, you can still post, you can still do this, you can still do that. But what I think you're totally right though. It is going to leave a group behind in a sense, but that's like everything. I mean,
Hmm.
I just don't see it as the same way of it being because of the technology. I believe it because of it's a new way to tell stories. It's a new way to do your brand. It's a new way to like you don't have to, put on some facade on social media now. I think now it's about telling an experience. Now it's about giving people something that you maybe could have given them in the web 2 world, but it would have been overlooked because the web 2 world is overfilled with a bunch of fake bullshit. Whereas
Yeah. So what about looking at it from the perspective of we don't need passive listeners. We don't need passive
exactly,
people. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like passive people in this space are going to be
exactly.
left behind. They're going to be like miss out on all the
Well,
airdrops, and
yeah,
they're not going to be rewarded as much as if you're an active participant.
Hmm.
I totally no, that's yeah, I completely agree with that. I will say though, like that doesn't mean that passive listeners aren't going to have a place to listen. I mean, look, I think the reason why this hasn't popped off yet is simply because there isn't the passive listeners haven't figured it out yet. There isn't a simple way for these passive listeners, so to speak, or your passive consumer to join in on the space and actually have a simple way of doing it where they're still mindless and they can still like,
And
focus on their everyday life.
I'm kind of, when I thought back of my situation I just explained earlier, but this great artist doing visuals is kind of a passive artist where he's just doing great art. I just learned him that he can make great benefits of getting into the space, but I don't feel actually him having today the energy to get involved more than just me sharing some lines with him about it. But so in a sense, he's kind of a passive artist as well as passive listeners can be, and to me that leads to the we need the evolution, the fluidity of the platforms to be simple enough for just so you get on the platform, it looks so clean, so easy, and then you can have all the the features required to make all the smart contracts ecosystem work around them, but without them having to get involved too much on the tech side, like we do hardly every day.
Right.
We're grinding hard, but yeah, just knowing what the concept is and just having a UI that is simple and fluid enough for them to just click and make it work, and so they know that what the code is behind, but they know that it works and that their thing is protected and everything. And at this point, I believe we will see much more adoption from the one that can be left behind and be saved, so to speak, by the evolution of the platforms and of the tools.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I do think that that evolution is going to come, and that's what I mean. Whereas, like, there still will be a place for your passive listener and even your passive artist, so to speak, who it doesn't really want to get involved in getting in, like you know, like you just said, we're working so hard to like figure this stuff out. Yeah, that's what I think a lot of artists in 2-3 years are going to resent whenever it's so easy for an artist to pop in here and do everything that you guys are doing right now in a much simpler way, and it's going to land 10 times harder because the leverage is in their hands because they're a part of some centralized organization that's doing it all for them. I think that that is going to happen on some regard, but I also do still agree. If you can tailor it, if you can understand the old world, you can understand the new world. And I think if you're in control of your fans and if you're in control of your vision, then you can stay in control of your vision. It's just going to require a little more work, a little more responsibility. But yeah, it's super early still. I think this conversation is just proof of how absolutely early it is, which should be a sigh of relief in some cases. And I think in a lot of and then in other ways, you know, it should be a way to light some fire and to make you realize, like, yo, I can still get ahead. I can still come out with something that's going to really be noticeable and actually make a difference in this world this early. And this is also why I say everybody who's here right now is an OG.
Yeah, you know, you're right, and I think the way that people are going to interact with these platforms is going to be different than we're imagining. I think a lot of what people are building now and the way things are as we see it now is kind of like just moving the Web 2 world into Web 3. Well, I don't think we've even scratched the surface of what it's going to look like and how people are going to interact with it. I imagine that, you know, platforms are not going to be the most prevalent thing around. I think they're going to plug into what you have, like your wallet, kind of like if you have a physical wallet, right? You've got like a card, you've got your bank card, you've got, you know, your gym membership, or you know, you have your driver's license, you have different currencies in it. It's your wallet, right? But you have all these things in it. I think the wallet is going to be the ultimate platform, and each person will be able to integrate all the various things that they want to participate in or interact with to their wallet, so they don't have to worry about, oh, I got to get on this platform, I got to go to this platform, I got to register here. You know, they have their wallet
Yeah.
that allows them to connect. That's the beauty of Web3, right? Is allow us to connect to various platforms with our wallets so that we can participate, we can earn coins, we can purchase NFTs, we can trade currencies, and then eventually how that's going to evolve into something a bit, you know, less clunky and less scattered, and there's just way too many things. It's fun, but it's overwhelming. You know, I'm sure you know
Yeah.
already.
Yeah, but I was thinking
So
of you recently when you said, sorry, my,
oh, you want
go
me to
go
go?
ahead. Go ahead, I keep that.
All I was gonna say was, so Vandal, you think that more likely the wallet will be the central aspect more so than the platforms in
Yeah,
the
man.
future, in the
Yeah,
long term.
yeah, that's why, like, I'm kind of like I try to be a contrarian as much as possible and look at, you know, what we've been trying to do and what a lot of people have been trying to do initially in this space was to migrate things that exist in the traditional sense over to the blockchain, and it's kind of defeats the purpose of what blockchain is all about, in my opinion. So I think that, you know, people are going to start to build platforms, but I think really it's going to be these sort of wallet
Hmm.
plugins,
Yeah.
you know, kind of like the way that I see DAO Records is like that. It's I think I don't want it to be a platform, but sometimes you just have to do what's there to do first so that
Hmm.
people can understand it, and then when things are ready for the next level of thing, then the idea is that we all are our own platforms, and we integrate the various tools we need into our toolbox, which is our wallet, and then we connect that way. So we don't have to like constantly worry about going on this place, going here, going there.
Hmm.
Our
Yeah.
browser tabs, like on your browser. Well, I don't think browser tabs are going to exist for that much longer. In like 10 years, it's going to be different.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, totally.
I
That's
Yeah,
can't see it yet, but
Yeah,
mhm.
that's what I was about to say. Is that last week when you said that line, it really resonated with me. That you will stream uh, music from your wallet directly, and that I will be streaming your music through your wallet directly. And I really keep that in mind all the week, where it really makes sense to have. And that's funny. We talked about it a little earlier about the ability to the artists to make their own platform, to have enough leverage to do so, versus
Mhm.
going to thousands of platforms. But I was curious, what was your uh, opinion seeing all these platforms popping since a few months now. To me, it's even that I can't not track anymore, on the big map, what's happening, and I felt like pretty much overwhelmed trying to map that all out. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe I will do a stop date, that this map represents from 2019 to 2021, and then figure out yourself. But it was pretty
Yeah.
overwhelming, and in the end, it makes more sense to me when I had this very first advice from Connie Digital when it came to minting my album, to do it with Infini NFT and having my own contract so I can mint my own NFTs, and having 100% management and control over these. And since then, I was wondering, okay, on what platform am I going to mint? What do I want to try and everything? But now, like today, I feel pretty much going back to the roots, and that yeah, it makes sense. I would love to be able to have more open source tools to be able to do so, and as well as to implement. That's the same thing I think for geniuscorp, like and we talked about it earlier with my, like, I want to say to keep this website static as a curator of the work we do as producers, as creators, but we want to stay on the creator side, getting involved in the royalties in the craft itself. But the brand is here to bring traffic, and it can really turn out into a decentralized static page where you can play the music, but it interacts with the right holders of the smart contracts, and then just stay a channel for high quality curated music that we don't have to get involved with on a paperwork level, because everything is in the smart contracts, but can still be bring traffic, massive traffic over the projects we work on, and so on. So yeah, I was wondering, like, yeah, what's your sentiment of seeing all these platforms popping out, and especially the ones that claims to have, Whitney Houston on them, and whoever,
Yeah,
isn't.
this reminds me of in a way like the .com
Yeah,
boom,
I was
right? Like at
about
the
to say
beginning,
this as well. Yeah. Hmm.
everybody's doing websites. Nobody understands how to build them,
Exactly.
right? At the time, it was something that was like a specialty that a few people had, and they're like, oh, let's make websites, and all
Hmm.
this money gets pumped in.
Yeah.
The only reason people are making platforms is because there's money to put in there for
Yeah.
them to make the platforms, right? Currently, I would say for the most part, not everybody, but yeah. What I'm thinking is like think back to the previous revolution, and I would say that came with the MP3, and what happened
Hmm.
and what made the MP3 with the internet, the two things, because MP3 was around before the internet. I mean, well, before the internet was popularized and people were able to use it more and more, right? But what was the killer app? It was Napster.
Yeah.
Now, what made Napster so powerful was the fact that you could basically exchange files peer to peer.
Mm.
So your hard drive with your folder was connected so that somebody else could access it and you could access somebody else's. Now, the simplicity of it is amazing. And I think that we should look at that as an example when looking at how to build things in Web3 is to see to make it as simple as possible, but take advantage of the technology that's available and not try to overcomplicate it. It was so simple, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it was so powerful that it forced the music industry to completely make a shift. And then they tried to go, okay, let's do DRM and try and control MP3s. Well, that didn't work. We all know what happened there. And then, oh, let's set a price for MP3s. And so they built the platforms and the apps and integrated it into what people use.
Mm.
Apple obviously is iTunes, and
iTunes. Yeah.
so I think looking at it from that perspective, we take advantage of the open source nature of blockchain, the decentralized nature of blockchain. The
Hmm.
nodes is kind of reminds me of that peer to peer effect, right? So you have various nodes. So your phone could be a node. Your computer could be a node
Hmm.
interconnected with your phone and allow you to interact with all the apps, the dApps.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. And
But
Juxton
yeah, like
is right. Yeah, DRM will come up when people start ripping off the mainstream properties of the blockchain with Disney, Marvels, and everything. And yeah, we covered that as well. We played a little clip from lawyers, a group of 5 lawyers. I don't know if you've seen that video, Vandal. It's actually 4 lawyers and Deadmo 5. And the mode, the vibe from that video is great because you feel the 4 lawyers being like in panic mode, and you just have Deadmo 5 in the middle of them, just throwing fuel on the fire. He's like, yeah, but I do this like that and this and that, and they're like, oh my god, okay, how do we fix that? And yeah, a funny situation to watch. But one of the lawyers was um, stating expressly to artists that yeah, mint your what you own and don't try to mess with the copyrights and the DRMs because they will come at some point and enter the game. And they are entering the game. We see all the big companies getting into the blockchain, so they are figuring out right now as we speak, I believe. And as well, that's part of the main concern, where on our ends as artists we may want more developed tools to track our music, use the blockchain to leverage finances, but also tracking, analytics, and yeah, smart contracts features like remixing, or added features that we were not allowed to use within the previous ecosystem, the streaming ecosystem, where people are just listeners and not really actors, or not really interacting like we know we can with the Web3. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, the lawyers that's an interesting place at the moment.
Hmm.
Is I believe they're all trying to figure out how to remain relevant and to a large degree and looking forward, because I think that's what lawyers are good at doing, and trying to figure out where they fit and what sort of the next version of the skills or the tools that they offer to stay relevant. Because with smart contracts, and as they get more complex and can be refined to interact with each other, like now we're only seeing scratching the surface, but
Hmm.
eventually we're going to have like potentially even hundreds of smart contracts under one roof interacting with each other, doing various functions, and almost sort of like a living organism. This is kind of that's the way I see NFTs are like cells.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
they fit together and they grow and they become something, and they're this organism. So
Mhm.
to have something like that, like you still use do we need lawyers anymore? Like smart
Yeah, yeah,
contracts and
I agree. At
everything
some
could
point,
potentially replace lawyers, but
yeah.
we're human, right? So we have certain things where in good, like how would you do a clause like in good faith? You know, these are certain things that only sort of humans can participate in those elements. You can't really program that or code good faith into an agreement, right? So you still need to have that sort of human element to it. So yeah, these are sort of conversations I've been having with lawyers, and like I was on a stream on a panel the other week with lawyers, like a group of lawyers, and they were talking about, you know, how NFTs and blockchain is sort of the next wave, and how and the role that lawyers play in it. So I think they are definitely working on trying to figure out what's next for them.
Yeah, you can feel this from their vibe.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think lawyers is an interesting topic. I almost have a fear of the when lawyers realize what they can do here. I almost feel like a part of me has a this is maybe some bullshit, maybe some FUD coming from MAi here, but I do believe it's possible that in like 2 years, 2-3 years, depending on how this scene develops, that you have lawsuits against plenty of people who sold NFTs in the past 5 years. From 2 years ago, or 2 years into the future, and then all the way back to last year, the year before, just because there might be laws that were violated without even realizing, or certain tax laws, like certain things that weren't really clear, set in stone, understood, and I could see that happening. As
Yeah.
you see lawsuits come out today, whereas like lawsuits will come out today from like 2-3 years ago, as from crypto people that were just basically talking about cryptocurrencies, and they got arrested or they're getting sued basically for pushing certain currencies. Whereas, you know, what about all the people that are selling NFTs with royalties in them, and selling NFTs? And those could be, you know, if you're a stickler lawyer and you really want to fuck someone, you could consider a lot of NFTs as securities for certain artists, or you can, and I don't see that being I don't see it being impossible.
You know what?
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask the question: who wants to be the first Bismarck key of the NFT era? You know, I don't know. Maybe the reference is beyond some people, but he was one of the first. I think he was one of the first artists to get sued for copyright infringement of sampling, right? Like you used to be able to say, like a lot of artists sampled before him, until the record industry was like, hey, this is making money off of our
absolutely.
our IP, right? We need to get a cut of that. It's like they're just as bad as the government in a lot of ways. But anyway, so who's going to be the first Bismarck key who's going to come back with all NFTs cleared?
But you know
I
what?
mean, it's a good question. I mean, I know you're kidding, but like I think that's serious. I mean, I think like that's a real possibility. I just think like we're not out of the water. I just think like if this conversation tonight, if anything, has proven to me anything, it's actually how early it really still is. And I once again, it's a breath of fresh air for someone like me. Like I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful because it's like it gives us time.
You can chill.
It gives us a lot of. What'd you say?
I said you can chill. It's okay. Everything's gonna be okay.
Oh, I wouldn't chill. I mean, I'm not chilling. Let me put it like that.
But you know what? There's a great example of this happening right now is with, I don't know if you've seen that beef, but with Max Osiris, who have made a piece on Super Rare, and who is basically remixing something like Basquiat, and we've talked about it. For people who don't know who Basquiat is, he's a great artist from the 60s and 70s in the contemporary art, post-expressionism, etc. And so he got very successful worldwide. And so there's a big estate. Now the family represents a very big estate. And they are suing Max Osiris right now because he made a piece on Super Rare, which the piece is called "This Is Not a Basquiat." And so they said he's using, they put pressure on Super Rare, and Super Rare reached out to Max Osiris to say, hey, you got to take it down, basically. And he was like, you know what? No, I'm not going to do this. And it created a huge beef that focalized a lot of the OG crypto artist attention. and then it started to be kind of a battle where I show it on screen if you can see. Everyone started to provocate provocate the estate and the lawsuit. Basically, the first act of a war, I would say, was to basically take the notification from Super Rare, make a drawing on it. Basically, the drawing looked like Mickey Mouse, actually, so it's even more provocative, and he minted it, and so he offered it to a lot of the crypto artist community. So it went one step further on the provocation about the copyright, saying, first, I'm not going to take it down, but secondly, I'm going to mint your notification with a bad drawing of Mickey Mouse. Here it is on screen if you can see it. I love this battle. And then the crypto art community started raising up, continuing to do kind of borderline NFTs with, if you look on the screen, the Mickey Mouse is very not well draw.
Yeah.
So it's questionable as long as is it a copyright infringement or not. And so the finest crypto artists, the punkest one right now, are definitely playing with that red line and provocating the whole heart, the whole core of this very topic.
I love it, man. I think it's great. Like, I come from the sampling era, so for me, it's like, like, sure, you want to pay respect to the people who you're borrowing from, right? And if you're exploiting it simply just to make money off of, well, maybe at that point it's like, okay, it's not for the right reason of actually creating a piece of art that has some sort of embodiment of what you're using to say something. Like, he's making a statement. I think these are sort of statement things, and the more sort of the traditional I guess lawyers and legal things and IP and blurring the lines between what is or what can be used and what can't be used. I think it's great that there are people doing that and pushing that line, because we're in this blockchain, this Web3. It's like open source.
Yeah.
There's still people who want to hold on to IP and still feel like IP is this important thing. And a lot of time it's not necessarily the artist, it's the record companies, it's the brands, the corporations who are like, well, this is mine. Oh, you can't even like say the name or else I sue you,
Exactly. And
I agree with Space Painter. Remixes are essential in art. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and
like,
the music,
it's so essential.
The music has always tried to bypass, because you mentioned the sampling era, but then people got the big corporation got the attention that the sampling is making money and so on. So the artists got more and more vigilant as the digital studios and home studios and so on came into place, where they could really stretch the music to the point where they created new textures out of samples, but simply it was too much distorted that it couldn't be even recognized or something. Or even before, the today's situation in the streaming, we did, for example, some remixes, tribute remixes to like James Brown and stuff like this. And at the early days of Spotify, you could still put copyrighted music onto Spotify because there was not much check at the very beginning. And so, yeah, the artists always try to bypass, even still today, to continue to sample, but using techniques that get them away from all infringements. And but they are still sampling, they are still taking works here and there, and and yeah, that's essential. I agree, Space Painter. Shout out. And I wait for the smart contract capabilities of Remix, just artists letting the, like, kind of Odious is picturing, but we don't know how effective it will get in the future, but just mentioning, I've sampled this and that, and then he's got his cut into my release and so on.
Yeah, I think it's great, and I think there's going to be a lot of controversy around this, because it's it's something that is let's say illegal or infringes on particular copyright. Once it's minted and someone buys it, there's not really much you can do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's going to change things a lot. And I
Mhm.
think that, we're going to look back on, this idea of ownership and IP, and like we're going to see it differently, I think,
Mhm.
in the future, because you can't enforce what they tried to enforce on MP3s. Like,
Yeah.
sure, I guess you can sue. Can you sue a decentralized platform with no owners that
No.
are owned by a DAO and a governance token? Can you
Mhm.
sue that for copyright infringement and like
No.
selling things that are on the marketplace and aren't theirs? Like, I don't know. Like, they did what they did. Imagine what they did to Silk Road, right? Where, okay, obviously Silk Road, they're selling illegal stuff on it, but you
Mhm.
could technically do the same thing with NFTs, and I think people are doing that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see sort
Yeah.
of the legal side around platforms and individuals who are, using NFTs and minting stuff. But hey,
Yeah.
guys, thanks. I appreciate you having me
Yeah.
to
Thank you very
chat.
much
I
for your
really do,
time.
and I'm glad
Yeah.
to get back in
Yeah,
time
thanks for chatting with
to
us.
get through. But
It's
I got
been
to
a
bounce
pleasure.
out. So y'all have a wonderful day.
You
And
too.
Mighty, I sent you a DM. We're doing this TYGS Beat Meet beat producer battle, and it's coming up pretty soon. And I want to invite. I might as well just do this since we're on here. I want to invite you to be a judge, and so I'd
All
be
right.
honored to have you on as a judge for it.
Well, thank you very much for the
Yeah.
invitation. Yeah, I'll check it out for sure.
Okay. All right.
So
You
thank.
don't have to answer now.
No, it's okay. I'm gonna
All
I'm
right,
gonna
Joe.
check it out. Thank you
Thanks.
very much for all your
Appreciate
insights. That was priceless. And we'll
it.
check
Okay.
back in time
Yeah.
over this talk. All
All right.
right. See you.
One love.
Yeah,
All right.
one love.
Peace. Bye, Mai.
Peace.
Yeah, it was great. I'm so happy to have had Vandal. That was a while since I wanted to invite him here and talk and share together about all this, but I'm happy that it came at the time, after all we lived this past month, and he's definitely the person to make the big briefing with us. He was definitely the one of the first with Connie Digital I talked to when coming into the crypto art. And so, yeah, that's that was a great pleasure and very great insights as well. I love the conversation.
I definitely think like, yeah, I wasn't really talking about the remix stuff. I have no qualms with anybody remixing music. But I think like what I meant by there being legal issues here is if you're putting royalties into your NFT, that's definitely going to cause uh some issues. I mean,
Hmm.
that's what I'm saying. In the future, if you're making a bunch of money and you have a community of people that are reaping benefits off of your music and that's unregulated, let's say that starts happening on a mass scale.
Hmm.
Yeah, sure. It's not. There's like four. There's probably like There's probably like literally over like under 1,000 people that are even doing that right now. What happens when what happens when 100,000? What happens when 500,000 people start to put royalties into their NFTs and they start to basically share income with fans that are buying their stuff? That to me is definitely going to
Yeah,
be a
disrupt.
legal problem, and that's kind of what I meant. I don't really have, if you're ripping off someone's art, I mean that's obvious or it isn't. You know what I'm saying? You're either copywriting someone's logo or music or you're not. I don't really think that's the issue here. For me, it was more about the more complex NFTs. Somebody somebody else set it up top, the fractionalized NFTs, putting them into royalties. Oh, that's where I see a legal problem coming into play. Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. It's like I said, it's so early. This conversation made me realize once again how early we are, and kind of how
Yeah.
fairy tale I think we look at the future. I hate to be I hate to be grim, but I mean, I think it's so far away from where it's gonna go. I think a lot of people that were here early have very very far from where it's going to end up, and that's sad because I don't think that leaves at a very massive disadvantage for where it's going to go, or it's going to lead because then you're going to be emotional when it happens,
Hmm.
and then it's not going to be able to, you're not going to be able to adapt. It's
Yeah, but I really
being
see it.
here, it's not enough.
going in the direction of this movie Ready Player One or Cloud Atlas, where there's the depictions of the future, which are speculation, but most of the concepts here fit with the directions we see things taking today, and they come from insiders, like dark insiders. So maybe they all already know a bunch about what we are going through here in the street, and I don't know. This could be more of a documentary than we think, but this can be as well far from what can happen. This is only speculation and dreams that we try to foresee to get prepared, and yeah, somehow use it in our own benefits and creating a community of people that are able to free themselves on the early stage, and we don't know what it will look like for the medium to long term stage. Maybe this will turn into a dystopia, but who knows?
Well, not a dystopia. I mean, I'm just saying that like we just can't be like blinded by the technology and blinded by the power that we have by being this early, right? That's
Mhm.
all I'm saying is like we have to be aware of the fact that it's so early that we have no perspective of how it's going to be once the mainstream is here. And not all of us. I don't think everybody has this same perspective, but
I think you
I
just
think
inspired me an idea, like the Web3 version of Your Mama, which is it's so early, and then you can throw a lot of jokes after that, and this can become a real competition. And I think we're going to wrap up for tonight, getting some rest and get prepared for the weeks to come. And I loved all your thoughts, Mai. Always a great show.
thanks for being here, everybody.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
Shout out TokenSmart. Thank you. Very good to be here tonight. Keep up, everyone. And so we're about to hear Enigma from Split. And wish you all a nice week. And see you next week. Stay safe, everyone. Take care. And see you.
See ya. Bye bye.